Hello Android developers, my name is Mohsen and I'm back with another monthly Android interview with one of the Android community active members. But before we start, I would like to ask you to like and share this video with other Android enthusiasts and newcomers to encourage them to join the fun. I also do short Android development tips videos, so if you like this type of content, do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Without further ado, let's start.
Hi everybody, my name is Ivan Morgillo. I'm an engineer. I'm from southern Italy, so most of the talk will be in English and hand moving. Thank you for having me. This is my first time in Russia, so I'm super excited. If I pass out, it's okay. Just slap me. Everything is gonna be okay.
This is not stressful at all. Not even a tiny bit.
It's completely smooth. Everything is fine. I mean, the dog is sleeping.
Well,
Yes.
if the dog is sleeping, it means it cannot be that bad for anyone. So
Hello everyone, today we have Ivan here. I used to know Ivan from the Android community of Berlin again, but I know he has moved to Italy, I think, so we can explain a bit more. And I know him for his fantastic talk about domain-driven development using Arrow, which I believe he is going to talk about it today for us. But yeah, let's start. Hello, Ivan.
Hello, Mas. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Nice. It has been a long time because we were hanging around most of the time at Seabase for the Berlin meetups. So, but now I left Berlin, and we left Berlin a couple of years ago. Well, 1 year or something. Corona. Well, COVID moved a lot of things around, and one of the things it was my family. So we relocated back to Italy because we are pretty lucky that we can work remotely, and so it made sense to come back a bit closer to our families. Parents, they are not getting any younger.
Yeah, for those who doesn't know what the Seabase is, it's just some club that they used to have some monthly meetups in Berlin, and the Android developer used to gather, and some nice developer used to share stuff with the others. But now it's gone, and we do it remotely. And everyone from everywhere around the world can join these meetups, which, there are pros and cons. So,
it's the new way. So we have to cope with it.
Yeah, I call it new normal.
Fair enough.
Cool. But why did you move to Italy? Are you working there, or just because of Corona?
I'm working. So in Berlin, I was mostly doing permanent roles. So I moved to Berlin. So I was freelancing before I moved to Berlin. We were living in France. And in Berlin, I joined Clue, and they were not they were hiring, so they were not allowing freelancers. So I started to actually getting employed when I joined Berlin, but eventually I started freelancing again. When COVID, disrupted a bit our lives, we started working from home, and I worked from home in Berlin. And at some point we were like, okay, but I'm working for an agency from Munich for a company in Berlin from my living room.
Okay.
I can do this from somewhere else. And so we decided we packed everything, me, my wife, my dog, and we moved back to northern Italy. We are in the countryside, so we jumped completely from like a 3 million people city to it's like 12,000 people. Well, no, it's like 7,000 people town. So it's a small town, and I work remotely, freelancing as usual. At the moment, I'm working from a company in London, Novoda. It's an agency, probably a few of you are familiar. Awesome people, a lot of smart developers on the team, and this is working. This is working for me. This is working right now. I think there is no other way around, and it was incredibly happy transition because it allows us to slow down a bit, and we needed that change.
It was a big change for everyone. So all of many lifestyle has changed. So yeah, that's good for you. I'm happy for you. That's cool. By the way, nice camera on the dog. How is it doing?
So Spike is actually doing what he does best, sleeping. Well, he's more of a couch potato kind of dog. So
okay, cool.
I mean, it's super active if we are outside. So when you are in the garden, but if he's indoor, it's just couch time.
Yeah, I also have a dog in the room, but I don't have a dedicated camera on him. So
well, the camera came for other reasons because we have a project with other friends, and at some point people started asking, we want to see the dog more often because he's behind me, but if I cover him most of the time. So eventually I was like, you know what, damn it. Whatever, I'm gonna just buy like a $20 webcam that is sitting there and is actually pointing to the dog. So it's and I get to learn OBS. So that's how I did the picture-in-picture kind of thing. Yeah. So you always learn things.
I touched it a bit, but I found it a bit complex. I said, okay, maybe another time when there's a need.
It's a great tool, but depends what you need to do, right? I mean, how much you are willing to invest in setting up things. But eventually, it works nice for me, so I can do a few things.
Yeah, for those who doesn't know what's OBS, it's some streaming tool that help you have multiple camera, multiple microphone and some stuff on the screen, and while you're streaming, and usually gamers or streamers use it.
Yeah. I also use it for like recording live coding sessions or screencast kind of thing. It's a beautiful tool, and it's open source, so it's also nice.
That's the cool part. It's free and open source. I also know that you are one of the co-hosts of the Code with Italian. I'd like to know where the idea came from. I really enjoy watching it, and I'd like to know, how do you know Sebastian, and where the idea came from, and what in general, what's your goal?
So Sebastiano, well, we met years ago at conferences as usual, right? Because back in the days, there were conferences where you actually went and meet people in real life. And, we were both part of the Italian Android community. So, eventually we started hang out together. And I was like, okay. And we never worked together. We worked for same companies in different times. So it was even weirder because but eventually we were like, okay, we had a few paired programming sessions, like super random stuff. Like, I have this problem. Do you have a minute? And you just turn on like a Meet or something, so we like the idea of working together a bit more, but I don't work for JetBrains. So there were very little opportunities, and at some point he was like, Jetpack Compose is getting there, and it's gonna be the way we do Android apps in the future. Do you want to learn it? And I was super skeptical because I tried to learn Compose when it was like early stages, like it was before alpha something, and it was like I didn't grasp the idea. I had a bit of I tried Flutter, and they kept saying, Swift UI, Flutter, Compose, that's slow, declarative, whatever. It didn't click for me, and I struggled a lot. So I was like, I don't know. And eventually we actually talked about learning it together. Right? Sebastian was like, okay, let's learn it together. Let's build something together where we learn compose as a pet project. And then we were like, why don't we do it live? And because at the beginning it was like, why live? I have never done live coding at conferences. I was always it was very uncomfortable for me, and I had the greatest respect for people like coding on stage. I do conferences. Live coding was like, man, that's next level. I can't do that because I will. So live streaming, it was basically the same. And I was like, but this is gonna be a bit quite, outside the comfort zone. So why do you want to do this? And then we actually sat for a moment and we decided to show to the new developers, young developers, that people that do this since forever, like 10 years of Android, most of the time we don't know what we are doing. Well, so we have an idea of, we have a lot of experience. Maybe we solved something similar, but if you're doing something for the first time, I'm a beginner as much as the next, junior developer, because, well, it's new. So we wanted to show, we wanted to make it very clear to people that are starting developing that it's okay, and it's actually the way it's supposed to be, that you don't know how to do things, right? So, and we want to show the mindset. We want to show the idea that I don't know how to do it, but I'm willing to learn whatever it takes to do this. That's it. So, and eventually we was like, yeah, fuck it. We are just gonna like, why bother? Just turn on OBS, start streaming, and see if people like it. And yeah, I mean, we are approaching 1 year of streams. In April it's going to be 1 year, so it's incredible for me. And you are right. Sessions are long because it's always at least a couple of hours. Well, the first sessions, they were immense. I mean, I think the first episode was like 4 hours. It was like Game of Thrones kind of shit. I mean, it was like the Lord of the Rings kind of. And I was like, this is not working. And then we settled for like a couple of hours on Sunday, and 1 hour something on Wednesday. Because also that the whole idea that you iterate on everything, agile kind of thing. People told us, yeah, it's too late in the evening, or it's too long, and then we adjust. So yeah, it's a nice thing, and we're on pause now because the whole situation it's a bit stressful for a lot of people at the moment. So we want to take a break, and so yeah, you can understand. So so yeah, but yeah, we're having fun. We're learning compose. People are happy, and we have stickers. we are giving away stickers. So
yeah, I need some, to be honest. But yeah, okay.
just give me the address. Just give me the address.
I will use this.
But that was the beauty of this project. Everything is. So we put the time and the effort, and people contribute as much as they can, live or offline, and we give back with stickers and swag, and it's a nice community. It's getting to a point where it's a nice community.
Yeah, I love this Android community. They are super friendly, helping, and everyone open to share. That's also another goal of these talks, that I like to show to all the newcomers that all the Android community members are super nice, super open, super sharing. As you said, they open some stream and do live coding ignoring that, okay, it's stressful, it's hard to do maybe sometimes, but yeah. But what's the feedback from the people who are watching your channel, what this Code with Italian?
So we have a lot of support, great support, because we have a donation page. So we have subscribers. We have Twitch subscribers. So we get a lot of positive feedback because we are also inviting a lot of people from Google. So you have, if you want to ask, maybe you can't reach, I don't know, like Jake Wharton, because you want to ask something to Jake Wharton or Leyland if you want more Google people, or anybody. But we are giving you a chance to ask your questions live, and that creates a nice atmosphere because I met a lot of people that I didn't know. I met Jake Wharton at the conference once, and that was it. So we took a selfie. I posted it on Twitter. Oh my God, I got a selfie. But then we had the opportunity to chat, during the episode. And for me, that's a great opportunity as well. Because, it's one of those people, or everybody from the Compose team, they know so much stuff, and you feel so small, and it's incredible. It's an incredible sensation because, it's a great feeling to be uncomfortable on that level, right? Because, oh man, there's so much stuff that I can learn, right? Yeah. And people are happy. When people are happy, they wanted more Spike. So we got the webcam. They wanted more dog, but yeah, and that's it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing. It's making us release a lot of stress because we work a lot, and work hard, play hard, kind of thing.
Yeah, I saw your sessions with Chetas, and it was cool.
Hello. And welcome to Coding with the Italians. I am, of course, one of your hosts. I'm Chet Haas, and
I'm Romain Guy, the other host.
As you know from every show that we've been hosting this entire time, we'd like to introduce the guest today. We have Sebastiano, who give you a little bit of introduction to Sebastiano. He was born a while ago and has been doing Android development for as long as I've known him, which is quite a long time. I think we met maybe back into Google I/O in, 2013, something like that. So 15, okay, all right. And before that, I have no idea. I don't think he existed before that, actually. Do you have anything to add to that? I thought that was a pretty good introduction. No. That's about it. Okay. And even we met, what was it, 7 weeks ago. And yes. Also does, as far as I can tell, Android development. And Ivan, yes. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, that's perfect. Most of it, I can be very, very described with what I do. I like the objectification of Android development, and that's it. I don't do anything else. Thank you.
Okay. Neither does anybody else in the community, as far as I can tell.
I see that you have the book, right? We talked about the book a lot, and it's a nice thing and gives us a nice opportunity to connect. This is something that, for instance, you can do with Android. I don't know if you can do it with iOS. I can literally have somebody from the Android team on some random show on a Wednesday evening, and it's like 9 a.m. for them. It's probably it's like 12. They have to make time just to talk with us and about things. I don't know if you can go to somebody at Apple, it's like, oh, do you want to have, I don't know. I like to think that the Android community it's a bit more like a weird family, but still a family. So I like this idea of, this is fun. So we have YouTube more as an archive where you can go, you can watch the video twice the speed, or you can skip through the when we search on Google, you just keep. But the big part is the conversation live that we have on Twitch, right? So it's I saw your videos. I need to look into the encrypted share preferences, because that's very cool. Because I saw the video, I was like, man, this is nice. I need to try. It's like, so it's like it was a nice library, it was a nice example. But I see what you mean, that it can be a lot of dead time when you do that. So yeah,
it's not a big deal, at least for you too, because you are so funny, and two Italian coding and cursing, that's super nice to watch, to be honest.
That's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it, because otherwise you just lose your mind.
Cool. So I break this interview into a small chunk. So we go around some general topics like lifestyle, your work experience, and maybe some technical questions. And at the end, we will ramp up and see what we are going to do at the end. In this section, I'd like to know more about your lifestyle. So is there any hobby that you do after your normal day work, after a stressful day, to calm yourself?
Yes. Lately, so I have a 6 months boy, a 6 months old boy.
Okay.
So there's very little time, free time nowadays. But what I do in the evening, for instance, when I try to decompress a bit, I play video games. But I also do gardening. This is something that I started when we moved here, because we have a garden. We were in an apartment in Berlin, so there was no. I mean, you can have basil in a pot, but that's you can probably have some rosemary or whatever. But here I have like a proper garden, and I realized gardening is gonna put me in a very, very weird spot, because it's one activity that I cannot control time. So when you code, you basically, you're pretty much in control. Yeah, shit doesn't work and things don't go like it, but most of the time you are in control, right? I mean, this is it, right? With gardening, I started reading books about, okay, how do you do seeds and plants? And they were like, okay, you plant this in March. And I was like, and then what? And then you wait. And then you water the thing twice a week, and in July you harvest. And I was like, this is gonna mess with my brain so much. It was like, okay, nothing is happening today. Nothing is happening tomorrow. Nothing is happening. That's like, so gardening was one of those, experience. Like, okay, I want to try this, because I meditate a lot. So, I try to, get better at handling things that I cannot control, like, like a fancy stoic approach of kind of, if you cannot control, don't worry. But yeah, it's an ongoing thing. So as a hobby, most of the time this is what I do, and I code. If I have the energy, I work on my pet projects, mostly weekends. So in the evening, video games and TV. So
okay, now I have lots of questions. First of all, I also have a 1-year-old boy, so I know the experience that you're going through, and it's super cool. It's super nice. And I'm super happy that I worked the whole time from home, and I was watching him growing. And whenever I get tired, I just walk outside, play with him, and just come back, and I'm totally fresh. But regarding gardening, it's funny when you were talking about planting and then waiting. I was wondering, okay, it's like, if we see it from geeky perspective, it's like pushing a pull request and there's no one to review.
Yeah,
and then it's gonna merge.
It's you're there, like you know the Pablo Escobar meme where he's waiting there like this alone. Yeah, that was basically the idea. But it's a very rewarding thing, right? I made zucchini, and it's like, come on, really? But that was the idea. You plant a salad, and it's a fascinating thing. And if you have the opportunity, like if you have like a terrace or like a garden, I will advise just give it a shot. It's an intriguing thing. Maybe you just drop it out after 6 months, but just try, because it's weird. It's you need to take care of something that is living. The same thing with the dog. Like the dog is completely dependent on you, and so you need to take care of it. So you walk him, or feeding. And with the garden, it was the same thing, but it was slower. Like the dog, it's like you need to feed him every day, walk him every day. So the commitment is on a daily basis, right? So you are engaged all the time. Gardens was like, okay, well, today nothing to do. Okay, cool. Boom, go back inside, right? But it's a weird thing. I don't know if I can give you the right emotions, but it's a weird feeling.
And does your plant taste different from what you buy from outside, or can you say?
So it's definitely different from the stuff that I was buying in Berlin, because of how city distribution works. I live in the countryside, so I actually already buy my stuff from like a local farmer. So my zucchini and their zucchini pretty much the same zucchini, because it's the thing is here, right? But when you taste the tomato, it's actually tasting like a tomato instead of just a bowl of water when you buy it at the supermarket. So that's a lot of difference. But for me, it's more like it's probably also gonna cost me more than zucchini that I buy at the farmer shop, but because of the time and the work and the whatever. But that's not the thing that I was looking for. I was looking for learning how to grow food. Spend time outside and try to connect a bit with nature. Like, oh my God, there is a bug, and then you realize that that's actually a useful bug. It's not the nothing to worry about. Like, oh my God, and then you get excited because there are the it's a nice thing. For me, it's a very peaceful, fulfilling thing.
Cool. Now I start envying you, to be honest, but okay.
No, come on.
You also mentioned about video game, and you're the first one in my interviews that mentioned video game. What do you play?
So I usually, I'm not a hard gamer. I have a very specific sets of games that I play. I play a lot things like Hitman. I play things like Tropico, that kind of stuff. And now, and I started playing. I played Sniper Contracts, the first one and second one, and now I'm playing Ghost Recon, Wildlands. That I never played that franchise. I know I played Splinter Cell in the past. Rainbow Six probably 20 years ago. But I was playing Sniper Contracts 2. I opened Steam, and now there is a discount. That's how they get you. Right? Like I was like, oh yeah, for 14 euros you can buy that. I was like, I don't know the game. Well, buy 14 euros. I was like, because I have a very pragmatic approach at pricing for video games. So I bought games that were like 70 euros and pre-ordered. Like I remember one Hitman, I pre-ordered it like 1 year before.
Wow.
And it was like 70 euros. And then you're like, man, you're spending so much money. But then my approach is with entertainment in general, because video games for me are entertainment. And if you compare it to a movie theater, like, you go to the movie and you spend 15 euros for 2 hours of movie. So your entertainment cost is basically 7 euros per hour.
Yeah.
So if I buy a video game that is cost 70 euros and I play at least 10 hours, that's gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
So that always took away a lot of stress when I was buying video games. Because at some point you have to think about also money, because you cannot just throw money at Steam. And with Ghost Recon, it was like a bargain, because I was like, okay, it's like $14.99 whatever, and I have played already like 60 hours, and I was like, man, there was so much and I'm enjoying it. It's a very simple game. You go there, you kill some narcos. I mean, the whole thing had basically no plot. It's just go there, pew pew. But that you need to just release some steam, right? Just distract yourself a bit in the evening. So
yeah. I totally get the point. When you want to get far from the desk and then you just don't want to see any code and just release your mind, just press some button and enjoy. Yeah, I
do it after I put the baby at sleep. That became my daily routine, right? I finish my day of work, we walk the dog with my wife and the baby, then I put the baby to sleep. I play some video games, she does other things, and then we watch a bit of TV together, and then the day is over. Well, it's over my ass. The baby probably wakes up again. I need to feed him again. It's man, that's I don't want to start there. I never thought about how much stuff you can do when you are sleep deprived. and still going strong.
Don't tell me.
It's lovely.
Don't tell me. But if you like, I'm also do lots of video gaming, and if you like story games, I suggest you Last of Us 1 and 2.
The Last of Us, I played the first one on PS4. It was actually good. It was very immersive for me because it was very. I was very nervous and anxious. I was like, those monsters are not the crickets, whatever they are, clickers, whatever. There was a good one. Yeah, but recently I bought a desktop machine for work. Because my MacBook was too old. I mean, the poor thing. It was still like a good laptop. It was not good for Gradle. It's not that it's a slow laptop. It's not a Gradle laptop. And I bought a desktop machine because I'm working from home, so there is no going around anymore. And Sebastiano and Sasha, they talked me into throwing NVIDIA something in there. So now I can also play video games, and that was a good deal.
Yeah, the power that you can get from PC, you can never get from laptop, and you can change the stuff, change some module and get more power. I did the same. I also now have a PC and I'm enjoying it. Yeah. Is there any fun fact about you that someone doesn't know? At least, for example, I don't know.
Let me see. Well, I mean, probably, but fun fact, because I'm very, I don't know if it's fun, but I'm definitely proud of it. I'm at my peak performance, peak shape, body shape performance after the surgery. And there was a weird thing, because last year I had my third back surgery. And now I have like a lot of titanium in my back.
Okay.
And after the rehab, because they give you like a rehab program for a couple of months after the surgery. I kept going. So I kept paying for the personal trainer, and this is something that was a very new thing for me, because I usually do gym, like the normal thing. You go there is somebody that helps you, but then you are by yourself. But eventually I always stopped, it never became a habit. But with the personal trainer, that changed, because I don't know, you have somebody that helps you. It's more like a pair programming session, but at the gym, and that probably that mindset helps me a lot. So I have this person that, tells me what to do, how to do it, corrects me. It's more like I'm the junior trainee and he's the senior trainer. So I feel that's a combination that works for me. And yeah, I'm almost 40 and I'm in my best shape, so things can happen. So that's, I don't know if it's fun, but it's definitely good for me.
Yeah, good for you. That's super nice to hear. And beside Android, do you also read non-technical books? And if so, what was the last book you read?
I think that was, so I'm reading a lot of stuff for parenting. So that's because why not? I have something.
Do you have this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Baby Honest Man. No, I don't have that one. I have I read one. It was like Be Prepared. And it's there was a gift. But the jokes aside, the last non-technical book, it was like a Jack Reacher one. I think the third Jack Reacher. Those are nice and easy to read, and we also loved the TV show. And the TV show was, if you have Amazon Prime, check it out. It's very nice, very entertaining.
But you also mentioned you do coding for fun, and you have some side project. Can you maybe say what they are?
Yes, I have one very old project that is still going. That is a companion app for Kindle. It's called Gratis Ebooks for Kindle, free ebooks for Kindle.
Okay.
And where you can actually get free books from Amazon. They are there. They are just there for you to pick, but they're very hard to find on the website. So that's why 6 years ago I built the app, and I was like, okay, I want to help people. I built the app for me. 2 weeks later, I was not doing it anymore. I was not using it anymore. But I had like thousands of users, and I was like, damn it, I built myself a cage. So I'm still maintaining. Lately, I built something for my wife. Is a productivity app. It's more like a to-do app, but it only contains 3 tasks. So it's called 3 Things a Day, where you actually have only 3 things, the 3 most important things that you want to do today. And that's it. That's the whole app. There are like 3 checkboxes. That's it. There are 3 text, but it's in Compose. So, it was a good experiment to try to understand Compose. And then Code with Italian, we had somebody from the Glance team, so they showed us how to build app widgets with a new library from Compose. So I also added like a very basic widget. I never built widget in my life, but now with the library I was like, okay, this is actually super nice. So it's always building things that you use. Something else that I use, it's an app. It's in the beta channel. It's not in the public Play Store yet. Well, I mean, you can enjoy the beta eventually. It's a time management app for people that work from home, because a lot of people told me that they struggle with overtime, life-work balance, and I always used timers for that. And now I just clock timers, the one in the in the system. But now I build myself an app, and it's a nice experiment as well. So
yeah, I love having those apps, and then when you hit something new, just go and implement it inside that app, and
But it's important for me as a freelancer, because I tend to change projects often. And if you don't keep up with the stuff, at least you need an overview or how. You don't need to know everything. You need to have an idea of what can be done and how painful can it be. So when they ask for it, you say, "Oh yeah, that's a 5-minute job," or "Yeah, this is gonna take a minute." So yeah, that's why I have pet projects. That's the reason.
Yeah, we will talk about this, knowing everything or just staying in the surface in the technical section. But yeah, I agree with you. And are you a morning person or afternoon person? And does this freelancing help you with it?
Morning person. I think a morning person. I want to say morning person, but lately the baby situation disrupted it a bit. So I'm more following his schedule. But I think from a coding point of view, definitely a morning person. Training, like a physical point of view, I do better in the night. I think it's like I don't know, probably that's the body cycles, whatever. But I'm fresh mentally. I'm fresh in the morning, but I feel like energized in the evening most of the time.
Cool. And while working, do you use music to focus? And do you have any favorite artist, genre, or playlist that you can share with us?
I don't listen to music a lot when I work because I enjoy silence, especially when I read. But every now and then, when maybe I'm going through some more experimentation kind of thing where there is not a strict flow, I just open up YouTube Music and I have like a lo-fi playlist. I don't know, it's like lo-fi, those ambient lo-fi music kind of thing. Yeah, that's basically the thing that I have, like one click and then I do start a radio or shuffle, and I really don't mind what's coming. So I don't have like an artist. It's more like a genre.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'd like to talk about salary stuff. So there was some trend on Twitter that some Android developers start sharing their salaries and somehow saying that we should be open about it. But I don't want to ask you how much you make, but I like to encourage Android developers who like to join this community and do Android and newcomers. So I'd like to ask you, do you believe that Android developers make good money in compared to other developers in the whole computer stuff?
Okay, so freelancing, it's a bit different because there is a lot of negotiation going on, and it depends on more factors. But when I was in Berlin, I was on a permanent contract, and so those were for a senior position. My salary was always about 70,000, 80,000, depending on the company. Depending, if the startup was like funded and that kind of stuff. But then there were also a lot of weird situations where people in my team were getting less money or more money because there were ranges. So I can talk just for what I was getting. From a freelancing point of view, I know for sure that the backend people that were Scala developers, they were getting more money. And I think the iOS people were getting the same amount of money from mobile because they were like mobile, they were not differentiating that much. I don't think we are making little money. I think we are making good money in Europe. I mean, we are not US crazy batshit salaries. We are like more like a normal salaries in Europe. I mean, but this is Berlin, right? This is probably London will be similar. In Italy, it's, I don't want to say half the money, but it's definitely like about 60% or Berlin. I mean, in Italy, for a senior developer, it's about 50,000 euros.
Okay.
Like. So, and that was one of the reason when 10 years ago, eventually I left Italy, because I realized that okay, I can speak English, I can travel across Europe, because I'm lucky enough that there is my passport works, so I don't need visa or things in Europe, at least. So I started interviewing for companies in Berlin, in Hamburg, and when I landed my first job in 2014 in Hamburg, I was making double the amount of money that I was making in Italy. So Friday, I was making 25 in Italy, and on Monday, I was making 50 in Hamburg. And that thing, it breaks you in a very fascinating way when you're like, okay, this is something is wrong, right? Because I'm making the same. This is the same job.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm doing the same thing. I think it would be the same, if I go to the US, and if we go to the US, it's gonna be like some Netflix crazy salary, or like 300,000 euros for like, okay, that's a landed up. But it was very eye-opening, how much money you can make in a different environment that values you differently. In Italy, computer science, it's a bit like, sure, whatever. In Germany, it's a bit more like, you do your shit.
Cool. And are the expenses lower in Italy compared to Germany, or it's just on the same level?
The cost of living is definitely, depends. If you live in Rome or in Milan, yeah, sure, good luck with that. But if you live in, for instance, for us in the countryside, cost of living is inevitably cheaper. The same applies to Germany. If you live in Berlin, it's different if you live like 100 kilometers in the countryside from Berlin. So even in Germany, if you can work remote, that's where the money is, because that you can play the low cost of living, high income, so you can save a lot of money with that. Or you can have a nice flat in Berlin and fuck it. Depends on what are your priorities.
Yeah, exactly. You can pick your lifestyle and then pay for it. That's cool in Berlin.
Yeah.
Correct point. You mentioned you're married, but I have a fun question. If you were not married, would you marry some Android developer by knowing all the pressure and the stressful lifestyle they have? Or you don't think that's stressful?
No, I think for me, it will be. So when I share my struggles with my wife, my work struggles with my wife, I need her different point of view, right? So I need that kind of diversity. I will probably, I know that I'm at my worst ranting when I'm with other 100 people. It gets in a very, very, very bad negative spiral, because 5 minutes in the conversation, everything is shit. They are not paying us enough, the iOS team and the backend team, and fuck Google and fuck everything. And you're like, no, even just breathe, and just, so I know that will escalate too much. No, I wouldn't not. Probably I will marry a developer. Who knows, right? You can't predict one who's you are gonna fall in love with. But I really enjoy the fact that my wife does completely different things, and I like the fact that she knows a lot about what I do. But she also looks at me like, what the hell are you talking about? That's also nice.
Yeah, cool. And maybe as the last question of this category, what's your phone brand? Are you an Android guy or iOS guy?
I got a Pixel 6 because I have a Samsung S9. I had a Samsung S9, but he's running Android 10, so that's not good for work. I love the device. I have been using Samsung I completely skipped the Pixel era. So this is my first Pixel. I had a Nexus 5, and then I switched to Samsung because my users have Samsung phones. So, the weirdest bugs were on Samsung. So I was like, okay, I need a weird phone because I need to fix weird bugs. But then Android 12 came out, and the 13 preview is coming already, and I was like, I need a new phone. I cannot be like 3 versions of Android behind my users. I waited for the S22, and once I realized that the S22 is shit, I got a Pixel. I got a Pixel 6. So yeah, it's and I like the phone. It's huge compared to my old Samsung. That's a very big phone, but the camera is insane. I don't know how they do it. It's I don't understand because it's insane. Very impressive.
Lots of image processing is happening there.
Mamma mia, it's crazy, but I love it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. We are done with the lifestyle section, so see you on the next one. We are back with Ivan. The next chapter is about Android community. And what was your latest contribution to the Android community? Any article, talk, or open source library besides the Code with Italians?
Okay, Code with Italians is definitely my major sync project. But I also have a blog. I have I try to put on the blog the stuff that I like, even tiny bits. I found a plugin for IntelliJ that I like. This is like a small article. And I was doing conferences, talks, not much lately, unfortunately. Well, I did something like online for the Android developers Italia community. And yeah.
Regarding your weblog, if you give me the link, I will put into the description so people can go and find it. Okay, cool.
Sure.
I remember you from a very nice talk that you did about Arrow and DDD, domain-driven development. Do you want to talk about it maybe a bit so people know what is it about?
So domain-driven design is something that I was have been fascinating for a long time, because I like the idea of describing complex systems in a healthy way. And when I was studying that, there are books like the Blue Book. Well, it's there. This one. I'm gonna do some book suggestions. So this is the book, okay, for domain-driven design, and this is an intense book. Okay, this is like a that's a heavy book. But over time, then I looked for a lot of content on YouTube, and this other book came out. So this is Domain Modeling Made Functional by Scott Vlashin. And if you search for Scott Vlashin, you will find his website, F# for Fun and Profit, where he describes how you can do domain modeling in a functional way. He's using F#, and so there's a lot of stuff that comes for free for him. I had a workshop, 2 days workshop with him last year, and it was supposed to be in Milan, but then the whole when COVID hit the fan, eventually we did it online. So I don't have his signature on my. That's so bad. I was so ready. But then he explained a lot of stuff, how you can do domain modeling with things like choices or aggregates, sum type, product types, and that stuff started to, I started thinking about, okay, how can we do this in Kotlin, right? I mean, I want, he's talking about, okay, like a choice type where something can be three things. And I was like, that's a Silk class. Yeah. Okay. And then, he starts describing things like, how do you represent the absence of a value? And I was like, okay, that's a null. That's legit, right? It's a null. If it's null, there is nothing there. And then when he started thinking, describing things, he calls it railway programming, right? Where you have like a train, rails kind of railroad. So where you have two tracks basically, and when you apply it to a function that can fail or can succeed, you're like, okay, so this is like a kind of result type kind of thing, right? There is a success, there is a failure. But then what they have in languages like, F# or Scala or Haskell, they have a lot of tooling around that part. So because how do you connect two functions that have one input and two outputs, right? So that was the idea. So you had the first function has two outputs and the second function has one input. So how you connect them, right? And that's the part where things like arrow with the either type come into place, because Kotlin doesn't have those mechanisms. Yeah, you have result, but you can't actually do the connection if you have two functions that have, you start having fold, and things like that, and then you have like 5 levels of nesting. So arrow helps a lot on that, and the talk explains how you can start looking into these things. I mean, for me, it's a fascinating topic. It's a very hard sell. I never been able to use it at work. Like it has been like 4 or 5 years now. I don't know, probably 4 years. I usually use it in my pet projects because I need it and I can introduce it. At work is a different thing. There is a lot of emotional pushback on this kind of stuff.
That was my next question. I was going to ask if you had arrow in any of your production except your personal thing, but okay.
No, because I was never able. I worked with teams that every team that I worked in had a homemade result type. All of them. Everybody had one version of a result type that they built it. And that's why I don't understand, why don't you use something that is well tested and maintained by a community? But that's, again, it's not a technical decision, it's an emotional decision, and you can't. It's a tricky topic.
Yeah, I agree. But talking about Android community and sharing, we know it's a bit stressful to be on stage for sharing some topic, or even, as you mentioned before, live coding and streaming online. So I'd like to know if you have any solution to reduce this pressure before presenting.
Yes. So this is a very, very, it's a topic that I really care about, because a lot of people asked in the past, how did you start speaking at conferences? And I always say, I will not advise you to do what I did, because what I did was brutal and painful for me. Because when I started, My first conference was 2015. It was Droidcon Berlin. It was in English. It was my first conference. So I'm not a English native speaker. So that was not my language. And I was the last speaker at the conference. It was the largest room. It was a full room. And when they started bringing in chairs, because people wanted to join and they couldn't stand in the room for security, safety, fire safety reasons, I almost passed out. I was so nervous. I was like incredibly uncomfortable. If you check the video on YouTube, that, by the way, it's like one of the most popular Droidcon Berlin videos ever about RxJava. So the thing just was born and died in the last 5 years. So imagine. You will see that I was super nervous. So I would not advise you.
The observer pattern is basically nothing new. We use it every day. It's the gang of 4 pattern, basically. Common concept. You just observe something that can change over the time, and you just react when the change happen. We don't check our mail every time. We just get a notification. So they push the data to us.
Something that I advise is something that Tim Ferriss, in one of his podcast episodes, described as micro bravery. And the idea is that you build a deck of slides and you show it to your team, okay? A couple of friends or friendlier colleagues in your team. Then you get the feedback. And then you change the slides a bit. And then you present it again at your hack and tell and at the office, right? And then you get more feedback and the audience gets a bit larger. And then, you join a meetup, okay, where the audience is a bit larger, but it's still friendly because a healthy environment. You get more feedback, you change the slides. And so you do iterations. And when you do this kind of iterations, you get more confident because you are rehearsing a lot. And eventually you can go to a conference where there are 300 people in front of you and everything is okay. You're going to be excited because there is a lot of people, you're on stage, but you are also very confident because you know the topic, you know that people like the topic that you are presenting. They invited you, so they accepted you, at the conference. So they know that the topic is cool. So, and that gives you a lot of like a boost, morale boost and confidence boost. But you have this, incrementally larger audience that is compensated, but the more rehearsal, the more feedback that you get. So the larger the audience, the better the feedback that you got before. Eventually, you're like, okay, I can do this. So that's how what I advise for people that want to. Don't do I just go there. It's maybe you have probably a 50% chance to actually make it. It's going to be uncomfortable. Why risk it?
Yeah.
So just do it baby steps, a bit outside your comfort zone, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's an interesting approach. I never thought about it before. But yeah, the more the group grows, the more feedback you get, and you're more confident than the previous time because you have done this maybe 2 or 3 times before, and now you get more feedback. That's cool.
A lot of people think that you improvise when you're on stage. For me, it's not even close to what I do. I mean, then I saw Dennis' interview where he says, I forget about a lot of things because I never read my notes. I actually enjoy having speaker notes because they give me a good time, so I don't skip slides, I don't skip topics, or if I forget something, it's there. So that gives me a lot of peace when I'm on stage. So those are the tricks, right?
Yeah. Talking again about Android community, we have a nice community and people are sharing a lot of stuff in different channels. I'd like to know which channel you pick and how do you keep yourself up to date? And
Okay, so usually, well, Twitter is the social network that I consider like the work social network. So Twitter, definitely. A lot of stuff on YouTube, especially Google stuff on YouTube, or other YouTubers, like, this friend of mine that has very interesting videos and interviews on YouTube. And well, there is also newsletters, the classic Android Weekly and Kotlin Weekly. And yeah, blog posts. It's not that I'm constantly looking for new stuff, because there is so much. But again, I like to have an idea what's going on, and then if I need something, I try to specialize. I like to. I don't know. I have a problem. I go there and try to understand if there is a library that I missed, or something new that came up. If I have like one topic that I care, for instance, libraries that I use. There is a new version. Oh, let's check it out.
Yeah. Do you also dedicate a fixed time? I don't know. Every day, 1 hour, you go and read everything, or just some random happening?
Well, I don't have fixed time, because it's not that I don't have a schedule. I have like a inbox kind of labels for newsletters. I have a watch later on YouTube, and I use Pocket for blog posts. I just bookmark it and it's there, and if I'm waiting in some queue at the post office, I just read something, for instance.
Regarding your recently reading, do you have any article that you like to share that you believe was a nice one?
I read something. I posted it. I think yesterday or this morning, about. I'm going to give you the link specifically, but they were discussing the absence of Scrum in big tech, and it was a very insightful analysis how teams at Facebook or Google or Amazon or Microsoft, they don't use Scrum, or most of them, they tried Scrum or they stopped using Scrum. And it was a fascinating idea, because when I started working, everybody was agile. We do Scrum, blah blah blah. We do the stand-up, we do the retro, whatever. But then you start working for the company and you realize that it's just a lot of, you will like to do Scrum, but you are actually you are not even close. So most of the companies, they are like, we are doing it like a kind of Scrum-ish kind of thing, because it's fancy to have probably the facade of having but it was a nice article. It's there was a lot of insights on, if you have a highly valuable team, you don't need a lot of structure from a process point of view. If you have the right people, they work out problems without the ceremonies. So it was good.
Yeah, I agree. Things with big companies is totally different than a small startup who is, I don't know, 5 or even 2 Android developer or even mobile developer who can just sit together in the morning, in 2 minutes, share everything, and then go back to work. But yeah, that's also the difference, because usually those big companies are not that much agile as those smaller startups, because they have their own paperwork and stuff. But yeah,
they had a nice point on, if you have people, if you have a new team where people don't know each other, having a structure like Scrum will help, because it will help you to have a direction, or like boundaries, or a way of doing things. Because if you have people that they don't know each other, there is a lot of clashing, my idea versus your idea, and we never ship anything because we are fighting all the time. So at that point, give me Scrum, let's give me Jira, because I want to work on something, right? So yeah, it's a nice idea. It's a nice article. So
cool. You mentioned Jake Wharton, but I'd like to ask if you have any big hero in the Android community, and what's your reaction if you see them, or have you met, and what was your reaction when you saw them?
I'm always very excited. Because they are nice people. They are normal people. Until and you don't realize that when you see them on Twitter. Twitter is weird, right? Twitter is, it feels like the real world, but it's actually not the real world at all. So yeah, I mean, over time, I try to. That comes with age probably, but I started to look for the people that I read books of, right? So I also selected the conferences looking for the people that I have read the books, I enjoyed the books, so I can go there and I can get a signature.
Okay.
And so I have a lot of signed copies or books that I liked. And then and they never, most of the time they don't expect that, because usually, nerds, introverts, that kind of people, you wouldn't expect somebody with a book. Can you sign my copy of your book? And that's it's a nice icebreaker, because then you can start a conversation, and you realize that, I met Venkat Subramanian, I met Kevlin Henley, and they are super nice people. You can have a conversation. I was like, man, that's cool. I want to be like that guy.
Yeah, I'm so upset that I met Chetaz at Droidcon Berlin, and I didn't have the book at that point to ask him to sign, and he had a nice signing session, and I missed that. But yeah, now I have the book, so cool.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. God knows when we see each other again. Cool. That's what I love about the Android community. You do not expect to see your hero, and then at some point he just shows up in front of your eye, and you can jump and at least take a selfie.
Yeah, but that's nice. I mean, they are super. I never met somebody that was a jerk, to be honest. Like, it's like most of the time it was like just lovely people. Yeah, maybe they are not they don't have a lot of time, but they always make a bit of time to take a selfie, for instance, right? So it's
cool. That's it with this section. So see you on the next one. We are back again, and in this section, I like to talk about encouraging junior Android developers who are enthusiastic about joining the community, contributing, and also maybe finding a job for their future. As we said, we make a good money in this job. So maybe for the first part, I personally like to know, how did you start Android development? And was it some intended thing, or yeah, you can tell me your story.
Okay, so I started when I was at university. We started playing around with Android on a system level. So I was a very like big fan, Linux big fan, kind of guy, right? Nerd all the way down. And so we were playing around with very small things running Linux. Okay, so we were building, we were hugging access gateways and things like that, routers, and we, because there was no Arduino at the time, so we were basically hijacking the boards from the router, and we were making robots with access gate. DSL access gateways. Oh, that was my life. And when Android came out, or the first, actually, I have to say, the first affordable phone running Android came out, I jumped on the phone. We jumped with a few friends on the phone. We started hacking around the system. We were doing custom ROMs and tweaking performance and things like that. But it was very, very related to the phone, right? It was no apps there. Because what I knew, it was Linux, so I was doing Linux all the time, boom, 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 right? And Android kind of Linux, so at the time it was fun. But then when I started working, I moved to Milan, and I was making very little money. And the problem when you make very little money and you live in a very expensive city like Milan is that you cannot go out. So we basically were staying at home because we were broke like fuck. I mean, we were super broke. And at some point I realized, okay, I was doing at that point I was doing Java backend. I was doing like for a consultancy company, and I started thinking, okay, nobody's ever gonna know that I'm working on this enterprise software, whatever internal tool that nobody will never know. This is not good. I want more like a direct contact with the users. And we were not doing ROMs anymore. So, there was no XDA forum where you can answer people question about your ROM. And so I wanted something to connect with the end user. And then I started experimenting with things like PhoneGap, because I was doing also like a lot of web-ish kind of things. So I was like, okay, I can try this PhoneGap thing. But then I started publishing apps, but then I settled on the native part of the Android world. And that was it. Basically, I had a cheap phone, a cheap Android phone. I had a laptop provided by my employer. And I have no money to go party. And I started learning Android. And I started building Android apps that were solving my problems. And if you're lucky, when you publish something that solves one of your problems, you realize that it's not your problems, but other people have the same problem. And now you have a user base. And then after a while, I was like, okay, I like this. I have been doing this in my spare time for months. I can jump, and I can try to do it as a job. And at that point, I quit my job. I started freelancing as an Android developer. I had zero experience as a professional Android developer, but I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna interview and let's see, right? And I'm gonna go through interviews. I'm gonna try to sell it. Let's say if they are gonna buy it. And eventually, I landed my first consultancy job, and then I kept doing that. Learn new things, publishing up, and then change companies, because that's the only way that you can learn and make more money. Change companies. I'm a huge advocate of quitting.
Interesting. Your story kind of reminded of my story. You mentioned about creating some app for yourself, and then you get some user base. And it happened to me. I was working in somewhere that traffic was a lot, and I had to drive a lot. And before driving, I used to check, okay, what's the traffic status? But at that point, my city traffic organization was just sharing some images, and then you had to click and click and click. And then I created some Android app which used to download and at least cache that image, and I could use it. I could not drive on it, but at least I had some resources, and then I published. And as you said, I noticed that this is lots of people problem, and they love the app and they install the app a lot. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's interesting topic. But what was
that easy? It's that easy. Just
exactly.
solve one of your problems and ship it.
Yeah.
Don't stress over. Oh no, it's pixel perfect. Just ship it.
Yeah. And then you become an Android developer out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I was doing C# and .NET, and now I'm doing. Then I switched to Java and now Kotlin. So yeah, that's cool. So can I ask, what was your serious Android app that you mentioned that you published and had users?
The most popular one that I have is the book, the one for Kindle. Okay. So that's I mean, it's like over 1 million downloads. The thing is huge but it's a very, very niche app, and that's that gives you the idea how big the Android world is. So we are talking billions. Okay, we are talking billion devices. Okay, and you just need to pick a very, very, very tiny slice. Although you don't, and then you solve a problem, and then you realize, okay, this is like a lot of people with the same problem, and now they are asking me for features, they are asking me for bug fixes, and and then you can throw some ads in there, or you come up with a business model that subscriptions or whatever, and then and now you have a product, right?
What do you like about being an Android developer in compared to other developers? For example, in compared to iOS developer, what they miss that we have?
Well, yeah, okay. When I always joke that if you don't have an iPhone and Java, you are an Android developer. Back in the day, that was my idea, right? Because if you don't have an iPhone, probably you don't have a MacBook, probably you have an Android phone, and if you know a bit of Java, whatever, you are an Android developer, basically. That started as a joke, but then eventually you realize that makes all the difference, because when I started, there was no real reason to go Android versus iOS, if not the fact that I could fucking afford an iPhone or a MacBook, right? Who does that? Who wakes up one day and say, you know what? I want to be a mobile developer. And you know what? I want to be the one developer, the type of developer that to start coding needs about 4,000 euros of equipment, right? So Android was the opposite. Android was like, I had like a super crappy workstation. I was like a laptop, like a Dell laptop, whatever, my employer. And I had like I remember it was like a 99 euros Huawei something phone. It was like this big. It was lovely. It was like 2.5 inches. I was like, I imagine how small that thing will be.
I remember.
And that was it. It was with $100 and what, like 20 euros for a Play Store account. Bam, you are an Android developer. Do you want to learn how to do what? You go there. There's like gazillion of blog posts and videos on YouTube. And I mean, we are living in the time, we can access every kind of information. So if you want to learn something, go on YouTube. So yeah, that was it. It was a money thing. It was like the circumstance where that basically I had a computer, I had a phone, I knew the language. Let's try it out. The alternative was not feasible for me. And that was it. It's brutal. I mean, with the same reason, you will say, okay, well, why not web, right? It's even cheaper because you don't need. Maybe the web will. But I was doing web. Probably I wanted something different, right?
Cool. At the moment, do you also code for other platforms? Do you know, for example, Swift, or do you iOS?
No,
anything
no, I don't do
backend?
iOS. I do backend with Ktor when I need something for my apps. I do desktop. Yes, I do desktop with Compose for desktop. I love it.
Cool.
But I don't do iOS because I never liked the $100 per year kind of thing to have. It doesn't work for me. I don't like that. It's not the way I want to live my developer life, right?
Yeah, cool.
So
talking about Compose for desktop, how different it is from the Android version? Do you have more features or the same thing? Just
it's pretty much the same stuff. It's not like a one-on-one port because it's different. For instance, on desktop you have scroll bars. On phone you don't really have scroll bars. And there is the integration with the system. You can add an icon to your like system bar in Windows. So you have but from a UI point of view, it's pretty much the same. The idea that the closest comparison will be like tablet, right? So if you have an idea how to build a UI for a tablet, that's pretty much translates to desktop pretty much the same way. So you have the same navigation and things like that. Phone UI, desktop UI, I mean, you understand the difference, right? I mean, there's just asides that. So, but from a technical point of view, it's the same thing. It's the same language.
Interesting. I have to give it a try. But another thing that comes from junior developer is that now that they want to start, should they start with Java or Kotlin? What do you think?
I will say Kotlin. Kotlin because so when you start, you need to start on your stuff, right? Most of the time you're already doing something. Either you are at university or you're working, and so you work on your pet project in your spare time. And you need to be real, okay? So you need to learn the real thing. Yes, I as I say to a lot of my students, you are gonna probably work on some legacy code and it's still in Java, so you need to have an idea what Java is. But if you know Kotlin, Java, especially Java 8 or whatever, Java 1.6 that you have on Android, it's gonna look like a very primitive version of what you already know, right? So you can work it out. Kotlin is the way to go.
Yeah,
I will suggest Kotlin and Compose, and then you deal with the old stuff when you need it.
Okay, cool. And when I talk with junior Android developer, they like to find some job and join a company and a team to learn more. But they are super afraid of the interviews and how it's going to happen. So at the moment, I'd just like to know, how was your maybe latest interview process and how did it go? What was the steps? So I think companies do the same almost.
Yeah, I mean, as a freelancer, it's a bit different, but from an employee point of view, they look the same if you're applying for like a startup in Berlin. If you're applying for Facebook and Google, that's a different deal because there is a different process. But most of the time, my interview were like, okay, you have a first call, a first chat with HR. They need to understand if you're like a psychopath. So that's the first step. It's an easy step. So the second one, it was mostly like, what have you done, blah blah blah, and then there is probably a code challenge, and the code challenge, they are all the same. In my experience, they are all the same. Is usually a list. You fetch the JSON from an API. Usually is I don't know, IMDb or GitHub, something that gives you a lot of results, and then you show them in a recycle view. And the tricky part is, so you can train on that, because most of the time that's going to be the one code challenge that you get. You can train because they are going to constrain probably the time. You know, a lot of companies, they were like, you have 1 week. Other companies, you was like, you have 2 days. But I also got my last permanent position, you had 2 hours. And when you read the description, the problem description, and you have a bit of experience, you know that nobody can do that in 2 hours from scratch.
Yeah.
So because they know as well. So you need to understand that they will look at what you prioritize to understand what kind of developer you are, right? So if you are missing tests because you have a fancy UI, you are one type of developer. If your UI is crap, but you have unit tests for everything, you are a different type of developer. So, if you have like a fancy architecture or everything is in your activity, those are different type of. But that's the usual drill that it was in Berlin. It was all the same.
Yeah, I agree. And do you have any suggestion or trick to teach the junior developer to do or not to do during interview?
I will suggest to, if it's like a live coding or like a pair programming session for interviews, I will suggest you to talk a lot. So communicate with the person in front of you what you want to do and what you are trying to do. If you have any question about the problem, just ask. So they want to know, most of the time, they want to know what kind of team member you're going to be, because everybody can code. Okay, let's put this out. I strongly believe that everybody can code. Not everybody can communicate properly or be empathic with, or be a good person in a team. Okay, it's way easier to be a jerk or an asshole than a nice person. So focus on being a nice person, communicate well, and there is no problem to show that you don't know something. So if you say I don't know, and they penalize you because you don't know, that's the wrong company for you. That's a red flag, because you can always learn. Okay. So that's my suggestion. Talk.
Yeah, I agree. And big company size, do you believe Android developers should have a deep knowledge of algorithms, and during interview they should be able to answer hard algorithm questions?
I mean, if you are applying for Google, Facebook, or Twitter, that's the way they interview. But they are also very frank. I mean, if you apply for a position as a software engineer in Facebook, they are gonna tell you right away, you're gonna have one interview where they're gonna ask you for 2 algorithms. Okay, it's data structures and algorithms. When do you want to do the interview? And you can say in 3 months, and they are gonna send you all the material, lit code or coder, whatever, something. Those online platforms there where you have like a gazillion algorithm, and you can train. So it's not necessarily that you need for the work. Okay, I'm pretty sure that people at Google are not balancing red black trees on a daily basis, or okay. But I have a lot of friends in Google, and they are wonderful people. They simply know, and they knew what the game was, right? You want to apply, you want to work at Google, you need to suck it up and you have to study for 3 months algorithms and data structure, because that's the interview. Do you like it? Nice. Good luck with the interview. You don't like it? Plenty of startups.
Yeah.
So it's not that you don't need it at work. You need it for the interview. And that's the deal. So they are very clear since, at the beginning. So I think that's fair. For me, it's probably going to be like at the university. The moment you join the company, you just forget everything about what you learned for the interview. It's just going to be like hard reset. But when you do exams at university, it's the same. You study, you get the mark. Fuck it, forget about everything. So it's just the game. You need to learn to play the game.
Yeah, cool. I know junior developers who do not jump onto some internship or some interview because they believe that they should know all the Android APIs and they should know all the histories. And what do you think about? What's your answer to those people?
No. So I don't believe in you need to know all of it to start. You need to know what you need to start. Or even better, you just need to know where you want to go. And then you start learning, the bits and pieces to get there. For instance, if you don't work for a company that does navigation or public transportation or whatever, why would you need Google Maps knowledge, right? Right? I don't work for a company that does machine learning. I don't know anything about TensorFlow, right? But TensorFlow is there, right? Or image manipulation. Ciao. I have no idea how to do that kind of stuff. So my suggestion will be pick a problem, the pet projects, it's always the same thing. Pick a problem, try to solve the problem. And then you learn something new, and that's in your bag. Right? It's in your tool set. Okay, I know how to do this thing. Most of the time, you're going to show a list from a JSON to a recycle view, and you can work basically everywhere in the world. If you can do JSON, if you can do retrofit and recycle views, you can work everywhere.
Yeah, 90% of companies.
But this is the same thing that I taught during my Android course. I trained 12 people last year. They were like graduated or like high school kids, or they were like people that wanted to start coding. It was a very diverse class. And we started with that. I was like, okay, this is the project. You pick the topic. Somebody was doing cocktails app, somebody was doing recipe apps. It was this. There were APIs, and the app was the usual stuff, because I was training them to actually have an interview, right? So we were doing retrofit, we were doing the JSON transformations, we were doing the recycle view. And that's it. And now they are working. Everybody is basically working. They had like 100% placement after the course, after 2 months. 2 months, 2 months of Android, and now everybody's working. And they were like there were no strict rule, right? No computer science degrees or things like that. No. Just like basic programming. Somebody was doing PHP, somebody was doing JavaScript, and then we learned Kotlin. Just pick something and build it.
Yeah, I personally admire all the teachers, because last year I tried to do the same, and I really struggled because I cannot teach people that much easily as some people are really fluent in it. And I had a really hard time to collect the topics, make it understandable for someone who is new in this field, because that's totally different technique.
It's a lot of energy. Teaching it's a lot of energy. And it's not paying much. So that's also the problem with teaching. Yeah, no. That's a completely other topic, but I feel you.
It was a lovely experience, because I fell into this channel of I have to, put the stuff into chapters. I don't know, make some structure of the data because, okay, I know everything, but I cannot tell everything in 1 hour because the poor guy is going to have some heart attack. But yeah, do you have any plan to do the same again? So are you going to register or put people in a list?
So I don't know if I'm gonna do like a course like the one that I did, because there was like 8 hours a day for 2 months, no break, no nothing. So it was very intense, and it wouldn't work with the life that I have at the moment. That is a bit more random. So I like the flexibility of freelancing that I have at the moment. So I like, I can just say, oh, I need a couple of hours because the baby, whatever, and nobody is gonna freak out. So it was a very intense commitment, and I also, on the very cynical and practical and realistic way of looking at the world, I was making half the money that I can make as a developer.
Yeah,
it's a nice thing for you to try, and I'm grateful and I'm happy for the students that now they found our direction and they are working. But that don't think it's gonna happen again, because you need to also look at what you need to do for your family. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, I agree. I know junior developers. Oh, okay, I cannot call them junior developer because they have some experience right now, and they do not have courage to call themselves senior after even years of experience. And I was telling them, okay, no one is going to give you this title. You have to somehow achieve this title. But from your perspective, what characteristic a senior developer has, and when you start calling some person as a senior developer?
Well, I mean, a senior developer is somebody that has senior in the title on LinkedIn. That's so. If you put senior on LinkedIn, you're a senior developer, because the term itself, it doesn't really mean anything per se, and it depends a lot of if you're working for a company or another company, or in my case, if you're freelancing, I mean, who's gonna care, right? I mean, I do Android, whatever. But from a more let's say from a personal point of view, something that I definitely expect from a colleague that is experienced. Okay, so let's say they want to be called, senior. Okay, what I expect from them is good communication, accountability, courage of saying, I don't know, let's find a way to do it. That's my way of doing it. Like I don't need to know everything, but I can learn whatever, right? I didn't know how to plant zucchini. Now I know, right? So you just learn things. That's what you do, right? It's a mindset. So the idea is that a senior developer is somebody that is able to overcome the problems without guidance. Okay, so that's the idea. That's something that a lot of people can agree on. We have a problem, we have no idea where to go. The person that has experience in problem solving or the intuition or whatever is the one that is gonna pull us out of the impasse. Like, so you want to call it senior, I expect that from a senior. I work with a lot of people that were team lead / senior, and they were awful communicators. They were like always trying to dodge the bullet, and they were not. That's it's just pour parler. There is no. So don't stress over. For a lot of people, I mean, there's also something that is very. I want to make it very clear. For a lot of people, especially underrepresented groups, having a title, it's way more important from a career point of view than it's for me. Okay, I'm white, I'm man, and I'm heterosexual. Okay, so, and I live in Europe. It doesn't get easier. Okay, so for me, it's so I want to put myself outside the equation for a moment. If you want to be called senior because it will give you like a specific salary, specific empowerment in your company, do whatever it takes to get there, to get the title. And the only way to get there is you need to talk to the people in your company that decides that. I always say, when you want a raise, you don't ask for more money. When you want a raise, you ask for more stuff to do. You go there and it's like, how can I help the company? You go to their boss and you say, I would like to do more. Okay, they are not stupid. They know that, that you want more money. But the way you are presenting yourself is way different. You're not going there like, I want more money, I deserve more money. No, I want to do more. Okay. With a title is the same thing. A promotion, it works the same way. You know, I want to do more. Okay, well, you know, we have these people, they are just super random. We need somebody that leads them. Boom. And now you are a tech lead. Right? You're a team lead. You're a team lead. Do you want to do that? I was like, I can try. And now you're a team lead. Right? And then you have a title and you have probably a salary with that. So you need to ask. If you want to work for a company, ask some other people with the same title in that company, how did you get there? If they joined already with the senior title or they went on the career ladder inside the company. And if it's important for you, pursue that.
Yeah, this topic leads me to other subject I'd like to ask you about. First of all, I believe you work with both senior and junior developers. Which arrangement do you like the most? All senior or all junior or mix of both? How does it work for you the best?
It depends on the company and the project. So for instance, if you are working on a product and you have like a long-term game, the company is growing and the company is trying to get more people on board, having junior people in the team is invaluable. Because I mean, those crazy kids, you will not believe the weirdest idea that they can come up with, right? Because they don't know, right? And so we have been doing this for a long time, so we have a lot of bias. I see a problem, I remember about some solution, I want to apply the solution, right? Maybe it works, but it's always the same solution. Somebody that has no idea then can say, Ivan, can we try that? I mean, it happened a lot with my students. I was like, oh, Ivan, can we try that? And I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, let's try that, right? So having junior in that kind of environment it's a great opportunity to experiment. It's in a more like, playful way, right? They learn a lot. We get, a bit uncomfortable because they came up with the idea, but we are the senior, right? So, that's also great for us because, it takes you, a bit to earth again. But if you're, for instance, I'm working on a project where it was a very specific time frame, very strong deadlines, and there was a lot of stuff to do. We are it's a team of senior developers, highly professional and experienced people known in the industry, and we tanked through the tickets for like 1 year, and we shipped everything because we knew how to build stuff, where to cut corners, when to cut corners. There was no discussion because, you are working with people that have been doing that for like 10, 15 years. And they say, oh, I have done this. I can do that. And I was like, no, yes, go for it. And then you do something else, something similar in another place of the app. And I was like, no, I got this. I already done that. And they were like, yeah, sure, go for it. And eventually you can work together because, that is the same thing that we were discussing before. You have senior people, so they can communicate, they can coordinate. So it depends on the project. If you need to ship stuff like in a brutally like serious way, maybe probably senior that can work together is the best. If you have like a normal environment in a product app, in a product company, bring juniors, because that's a lot of fuel for the future. Yeah, but cool. You need the right senior though, because you need the right senior, because if you don't have people that want to mentor the junior, that's a fucking nightmare. Yeah. So, it's hiring is hard.
I agree. Yeah, that was interesting perspective and point of view. I never thought about it this way, that it really depends on the project, but that was cool. And the other topic I like to talk about is talking about the imposter syndrome. Have you experienced this syndrome, and how do you manage to get out of it? And do you have any solution for those who are already struggling with it?
Yes. So imposter syndrome is the bread and butter of what we do. We are, so it happened to me, and it constantly happens because I'm constantly putting myself in a slightly uncomfortable position from a knowledge point of view, right? When you are learning something new, that's inevitable. On the other side, when you are experienced on something and you know that you can do that, imposter syndrome can creep in and say, okay, they are gonna just figure it out, then I'm completely fake, right? They know today is the day that they know. I think that a lot comes with self-consciousness. So at some point you grow up as a person, but a lot also comes from the environment that you are in. Right. So if you are in an environment where you are not, it's okay to fail, it's okay to not knowing things, it's unlikely that you are going to wake up one day and say, okay, today is the day that they fire me because yesterday they realized that I'm a fake, I'm a phony. If you are working in the right company, that won't happen. Because if you say, I don't know, somebody else is going to say, okay, well, let's try to do this together, right? So I think that the environment does a lot of stuff, and helps you a lot with that. But you also need to work on it yourself. So, you need to be confident that you know things, and you need to come at peace with the fact that you don't know everything. At that point, the imposter syndrome calms down a bit.
Talking about mental health, have you ever experienced being burned out in a company or in a project, and how did you handle that?
Burnout, it happened in the past, and I didn't handle it. I actually it actually got to me. At some point, because I didn't see it coming. At some point, I just didn't want to work anymore. I didn't want to code anymore. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. Fuck it. That's it. I don't want to work with these people anymore. I don't want to work. I don't want to code anymore. And that was, at that point, it was too late, right? At that point, it is too late, because you need to see it coming. Yeah, well, after the first time, you will see it coming. Because it takes a lot of time to recover from that, and it's the worst. I mean, you go from I love to do this. This is my life. This is my passion. This is what I do in my spare time. you end up on, I don't want to do this anymore. Fuck, I want to do gardening. Oh my, I'm joking, but that's the thing. There's a lot of people that just drop off or drop out the industry because they burned out and they was like, I want to do something simpler. I want a healthier. So nowadays, so the fact that I freelance is also a strategy to cope with that, because I'm constantly changing project. I'm constantly meeting new people, and if I have a stressful contract and I know that it's not gonna scale long term, is not gonna work. I know that it's gonna be 6 months, right? If I pick a wrong company, in my contract, I have 2 weeks of notice period. I can always say, you know what, this is not working for me. I'm not coming on Monday. Fuck it. But that's still, it's a very privileged thing to do. And I can do this because I have been doing this for a long time. If you're a junior developer, it probably won't be that easy. Yeah. But it still depends on the environment. Because if you are in Berlin, you literally can walk out the door and on the same floor, there is another startup that is hiring. So that's also easy. I say Berlin, but it will apply to London or Munich or whatever. Yeah. Amsterdam is very hot nowadays. And so you need to, the way I do it now is I have the timers, so I don't do overtime. I have a timer that goes off after 9 hours because I also count lunch, and so that's it. The timer goes off, and I just close Slack and I close IntelliJ, and I walk my dog. So that's how it is, right? And I do breaks. Like I force myself to do breaks, like because you need to be a bit more. You need to care about yourself more, and again, you need to look for the right environment. You need you spend 8 hours a day with the people in your team. You need to look for people that care about you. That's the important, because we are pack animals. We are social animals. Yeah. So you can't do it alone. And if your team is not like that, start interviewing. I never stop interviewing. This is something that I always say to everybody that asks. Even what do you do to change a job, or how do you change job? Look for a. I never stop interviewing, because when you interview, when you have a job, you don't have the pressure. Yeah. When you are interviewing, you are more like chilled, and you're just looking around. That gives you a lot of confidence, because you do a lot of interviews, so you don't get nervous when you do interviews. But you don't need the money because you already have a job, right? So there is no, oh my God, I'm gonna starve to death, right? Yeah. So at the same time, you also look for other companies, and that helps you, because if you have a problem and you cannot solve the problem in the company, well, last week you interviewed with somebody, they looked nice. Maybe I give them a call again, right? Because there are a lot of jobs and there are not enough programmers. So look for a better company if you have problems.
Yeah. Interesting point. And to be honest, the burnout thing happened to me not once, maybe twice in different companies. And the last time was like I didn't use any of my vacation in the whole year. And now that I'm thinking, it was super stupid, and I never go back there. But I learned my lesson, and now I know how to do it.
Think about that. This year, I decided to work only 2 Fridays per month. So I'm freelancing, so if I don't work, I don't invoice, I don't get the money. Okay, so that's an easy. It's a very easy way to do, but also a very brutal way, because you literally see the money that is less. Okay, but I decided that I wanted to prevent any chance of burnout, because I'm sleeping less because of the baby, and the life is more complex because of the whole situation. So I was like, you know what? 2022, I'm gonna work one Friday yes, one Friday no. And it's helping. It's helping a lot. There is no one solution. You need to adjust, because life changes. So you need to adjust the strategy.
Yeah. I agree that the burnout thing is super important. As a senior developer, I believe you know the blame feature of Git. And have you ever come to this situation that you find some hacky solution or something super wrong in the code, and you look for who has done this, and then you find that, okay, it was you? How do you face it? How do you manage it?
So that happens all the time. Okay, and let's put it out there. It happens all the time, and I'll tell you more. It has to happen, because from a professional point of view, if you like the code that you wrote 6 months ago, I feel that you are not learning enough. Right? You are not improving enough, because that's what we do, right? I mean, you always look for new solutions for things, right? To fine tuning your skills. So yeah, a lot of time I go like annotate on Android Studio, and I was like, okay, that was me. Oh, this shit is awful. I was like, oh, man, maybe there are tests, and then you check, they're not even tests. Fuck me, what? I was like, okay, there was maybe there was a good idea at the time. That's the only excuse that you can find. Probably this was the time where we need to ship it. There was a deadline. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was a deadline. And then you start thinking about, but then you look at the rest of the team and it's like, how did this thing pass code review? I mean, that's your fault, right? Because you approved my PR.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, it happens, and it has to happen. And you just improve. You iterate and you improve. And if you can improve, well, that's okay. And if you cannot improve, maybe you ask, somebody. Code review is a thing. You go there. Okay, do you like this? Can you? I'm constantly doing that. Do you like it with the if or with the when? Like that's the always. I'm doing it with Kotlin. It's better with the if else or with the when. And I was like, nah, I like the if else more. Okay, so let's try to remove the parentheses. Looks like shit. Let's try the when. And you always do that, right? Because it was like, okay, it looks nice. You just commit and push, and everything is fine. Yeah. And so yeah, it has to be joyful. Because we like what we do, right? It has to be joyful.
And what's your thoughts about Flutter? Do you advise junior developer to go and do Flutter? If not, then why, and what is stopping you from asking them to do it?
So I tried Flutter in the past, because you need to try, right? Because you need to have an opinion. And eventually Flutter for me was just a different way to build Android apps, because I never bought I can also do the iOS version of the app with this, because it's not just you write the code. Now it works on iPhone. You need a Mac, you need a Apple account, so it's not that it's just an iPhone app now. So for me, it was like, it was not selling the whole multi-platform thing very effectively as an indie developer, right? Because I was building apps that there was no easy iOS version of my app. From a professional point of view, I may be useful. I don't know. I mean, for an agency, it could be useful. A lot of agencies are doing it. I mean, in the past, I did a lot of apps for events, right? The whole thing is lasts 3 days. They want basically an MVP, and the 2 weeks after the conference, nobody's going to use the app anymore, so they don't want to spend 15,000 euros for. Maybe you just build a Flutter app and everything is fine. Nowadays, Flutter, Compose is basically the same idea, with the declarative thing. And considering that I'm not doing iOS, I'm gonna basically build everything in Compose, and it's gonna be the same for me. And it's not, I don't have the burden of learning a new language, learning a new ecosystem, ending over a project that the next Android developer looks at and is like, what the fuck is this? It's a Flutter app. I adjust up, because I'm a consultant, you can't actually do that. So they hire you for an Android app because they are hiring Android people. So they want an Android app. But if you're starting, give it a try. Maybe it works for you. Maybe it's faster on your machine, instead of running Gradle. I have no idea. I tried it on my laptop and it was working nice, but it was a MacBook. So I also had Xcode. So, I can do the simulator. On my machine, I don't even know if I can run it on my Windows machine, to be honest. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can run it. Well, whatever, maybe.
You can run it, but you cannot build the iOS app because you need Xcode.
Still, for me, Flutter, it's not a solution, for instance. It's not a multi-platform solution. Like Kotlin multi-platform mobile is not going to be a solution for me because I'm running on a Windows machine. So I'm pretty much stuck to the Kotlin world, and that's why I'm loving desktop, because that opened a lot of opportunities for me.
And then this question came from a junior developer who was asking, when they struggle searching for stuff in Google, they cannot easily find it. Do you, as a senior developer, has some keyword or some trick to find what you're looking for, and how you search for what you're looking for?
I keep it simple. I don't try to build a question in Google. I just try to put some specific words. I always use Android because unfortunately it's the first Android, and then start typing stuff. But yesterday I built a custom snack bar. I just searched Android custom snack bar, and I got like a gazillion Medium blog posts. Everybody was doing basically the same thing. I build a custom snack bar. Just try to keep it simple, or ask for help, because you are not alone. Even if you're a junior developer, you're not alone. To ask for help. Try. You have a stand-up every day, or you have like any dev sync meeting every day, or something, or even Slack, or you have an Android channel. Try to ask for somebody to pair with you. Just do you have a minute? I would like to. I'm stuck with this thing. Can you help me? If they say no, and out of 6 people in your team, nobody has 5 minutes to pair with you, start interviewing. Because you need to leave. You need to leave as soon as possible. You are not growing, because you're not gonna grow in a team like that. It's just you're by yourself. That's not a environment that promotes growth. Just everybody's just interview.
Okay, cool. So that was it for this chapter. So see you on the next one. Okay, we have Ivan here, and we are going to start the next chapter, which is some Android technical questions. So first question is that after doing lots of Kotlin, don't you miss Java or anything from Java?
No, not really. I think it's Java, the one that we had on Android, it was a very old Java. If you look at Java like 16 or whatever, that's like a nice language, and it's getting there, and they have a nice release schedule. So it's not like Java 20 years ago. It's like a normal language nowadays. But the one that we had on Android, it was brutally old. So I prefer Kotlin.
What about Eclipse? Don't you miss it?
I miss the fact that it was like it's an open source project. You always love that kind of stuff. But IntelliJ is a nice tool. I pay for the ultimate version, so ultimate edition. So I like the company. I want to support the company. So
Cool.
I think that Android Studio should be a plugin, though. It's not. I think that Android Studio is not. It's not okay that it's a completely different software. I would like to. That's a complex topic.
Yeah. I got your point, but okay. You don't have time for that topic. Maybe another talk, but okay. Is there any open source library that you cannot live without, and you will add the very first to the project?
Oh well, it's in any project that I use Timber. I need the logging. I need logging, and I usually do Timber plus Crashlytics to have remote logging. So that's my. It's in any project. I have like a handful of libraries. They are always there, like Timber, Coin, Coil. The basic retrofit, of course. Even though Ktor kinda is also okay, depends. But Timber, I would say Timber.
Yeah, this question comes from one of my interviewer who asked me, if you had power to change some Android API, which one you will change and why, and how you will improve it.
Let's see. I mean, nowadays we have a lot of libraries that wrap things, but Android API, I don't know. I mean, I don't have one that I dislike, like as an Android system API, because we have Compose, so that's a lot of better for the UI. We have a lot of Android X libraries, permission and things like that, and camera. So things are getting better. So I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't like libraries, but I don't think I will change like a API. Like I hate this shit. No. It's more like, oh damn it.
Yeah, cool. And talking about Android X and Jetpack, which part of Jetpack or library you like the most?
I think the one that let me think. I think the material one I like a lot. The material because there's a lot of things that you don't need to think about, from a style point of view. But I usually use I use the basic stuff. If you want to consider constraint layout a library, or the recycle view a library, those are the one that they are always there. Paging is something that I struggle. Let's say that it's not one of my most used library. I usually don't use it, but I have it in the project at the moment. It's a bit painful, but most of the time I like what Google is providing, because it's nice. It's nice that they are putting in so much effort in supporting us with libraries.
Yeah. They see the issues and then they jump and solve it somehow and improve it. That's what I like about the whole Android X Jetpack packages. And I know you are doing some stuff with Compose in coding with Italian, but how did you did it in production? How did you get along with it in production? Do you have any production with Compose?
So the productions, apps in production that I have are my pet projects, and there was very little to do there. I just started with the code labs, to be honest. I created an Android wizard, next, and then the code lab, and I shipped it. There was no much of a problem. My next step is going to be migrating an existing app to Compose. And that will be probably an interesting challenge, because interoperability is there. So you can do like a mixed Compose XML view app. But then I need to figure out things like navigation and things like that. How you. So that will be. But I already have a mixed app because of ads. Because ads, they don't have the Jetpack Compose support yet. So you have like an Android view composable, and then inside there is the old view that the SDK provides you. So that already works. So that's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's a very enjoyable solution. Yeah.
Good news is in my current company, we did it in production, and next week would be the first release, and it was nice. We liked it.
Nice.
It's kind of a bittersweet. You have a hard time to learn the stuff that you already know how to do it in layout, but okay, now you have to do it in a different way, and then. But when you do it, it's sweet. It's really nice.
Yeah. Now, when I saw lazy column, I snapped. I mean, if you remember, first episode of Code with Italian, Sebastiano showed me the lazy column implementation. And he was like, "Oh, this is it. This is 5 lines." And I was like, "What do you mean? Where is the adapter? Where is the view holder?" And I was like, "No, this is it. This is the list." And I was like, "This thing is unbelievable." So there is a learning curve because it's a new thing, but we are used to that, right? You always learn new stuff. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, we just do a for loop on this stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna just snap. So no adapter, no shit, no view holder, no nothing. Fuck me. I hate this. I already hate this. I already hate this. Fuck you. It's like 5 lines.
Yeah.
It took 10 years, but eventually we are getting there. I hate this shit so much.
That's why I wanted to create a list, because it's so bloody easy. It's so fucking easy. You're like,
I mean,
wow,
I hate it.
What is this?
I hate it.
And in your daily job, do you do TDD? And do you believe even if it's possible to do TDD for Android? Because, we have lots of stuff to handle, UI, layouts, Android things.
So we do testing because we have a lot of automated tests, because we need to ensure regressions. And there is a lot, but we don't do TDD like the way you will probably do it on a backend or like on a more like a smaller domain project or a library. Probably a library you will do a lot of TDD. But I try to do TDD as test up front when I don't know how to build something. That's when TDD actually shines, right? Okay, we need to do this. I have no idea, and then you start building it tiny bits at a time, and eventually you have a solution that you even can refactor. But yeah, I mean, I'm not obsessed with we need to do it like that. I don't even believe in code coverage on that kind of stuff. It's a very tricky thing, because you think we changed something the other day, we completely rewrote something, and we ran the tests and they were passing, and then we're like, this is so bad. This is even worse than not having tests. And then we looked at the tests, and actually they made through code review, but they were asserting one slightly thing that was not actually the thing. So you were reviewing, okay, this looks good, the test is passing, and that's nice, but then it's actually not testing, and that's even more dangerous. So
yeah, I agree. You answered my next question, which was about code coverage. Cool. And in your daily job, how do you manage tech debt? Because you're coding, you're doing some feature, and then you face that, okay, this is a nice thing to fix. Do you immediately switch to doing it, or just take a note and do it later?
No, we don't immediately fix it. We fix it. So we agree, most of the time we agree that maybe the solution is suboptimal, or it's a hack or it's a workaround or something. So that part is somehow decided, in a dev sync or something like that, or refinement meeting. And it's very clear in the code. There are comments. I mean, sometimes you have one line of very nasty shit, and then there is like 10 lines of comments that try to explain and justify and, ask for mercy for that one line. But we know that those are temporary. Usually, either we have like cleanup tickets, where we actually say, okay, we need something on Jira that say at some point we need to clean up this stuff, right? Like maintenance kind of thing. Or it happens that we do it on the fly when we are working on the next thing that is touching that area. We try to keep it small. If it's necessary for another PR or even like just a commit, if it's very little thing, and then we go. Usually the overall code quality it's decent because we had a lot of people onboarding, so we had a lot of feedback. People not struggling with the code, so that was a very, very good news for us. But there is still a lot of stuff that we need. I tweeted the other day that now we are trying a solution to remove the paging library because we pile so much customization around the paging library that was supposed to help us, that now is actually a problem. Like it's a nightmare to maintain. So that we are aware of that. You will always have that kind of stuff because nobody can do good on the first run. You can do probably decent if you try. And then you can try again and you can do good, and that's probably okay, and you keep it there. Perfect. I don't even want to think about that. That's bullshit. But so you need to iterate a bit. So
I got the point. And is there any special software or tool that you use beside Android Studio for coding? Anything that helped you?
I do IntelliJ, and everything is inside IntelliJ. I don't have I used for like 15 years, I used Git Cola as a Git tool. It was a UI for Git. I was doing a lot of stuff. But then, a couple of years ago, I switched to the Git thingy in IntelliJ, and it works perfect for me. Actually, I can. The other day, I showed something to one of my colleagues, and I was doing it very like muscle memory, automatically doing it, right? And he actually picked it up. He saw me doing that. And I was like, oh man, you can do that, right? Without checking out on the other branch. I was like, yeah, wow. And I was like, yeah, this is IntelliJ thingy. I also do a lot of pull request stuff inside IntelliJ as well. I mean, the integration is very nice.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I also like to use Git client. Maybe for cloning, I just go to terminal, but then I switch to Git fork. That's the tool that I'm using. I also have a video about
Git fork, yeah. I mean, you have a video, right? It's the one in the video.
Yeah. It was free up to some point, but now they just get some small amount of money, and then you can use that fancy tool. But okay, maybe as the last question of this topic, why do you think there are fewer women in general in Android community, and what's our job? What should we do to encourage more women to join as an Android developer?
Well, so there are that's a complex. We were discussing this with a friend the other day, and it's a very tricky topic, because if you want to hire people with a degree and you have 10% of the total that is non-men, that's the first issue, right? Because you won't make it. If you want 50% men and 50% women, and you have like 1 to 10 graduates, If you maybe you can make it in like one company, but you cannot make it holistically or in the industry.
Yeah.
So the thing that we were discussing was like, why do you need a degree? Like, why do you need a 20 years old woman in your company as a diversity token? It's not fair for anybody, right? It's not fair for her. It's not fair for everybody's gonna know. So that's bad for everything. So what you know is what you want is people that want to do the job. So if it's a 35 years old woman that it was doing something yesterday and today she wants to do programming because she realized that she loves it, or she realized that there is a lot of money here, go for it. So the idea is that the way I will probably I saw it in my course, right? We had a lot of women, and they were like diverse background, diverse age, and that was perfect. And we had like half of the students were women. It was like it was an incredible thing, because I asked for a lot of diversity. So I will probably start removing the constraints. If you want people with a degree and you have one, where you want like 1 versus 10 men versus woman, I mean that doesn't work. Mathematically speaking, you cannot win that. So try to play a different game. You want motivated people, you want passionate people, take the degree away, take the age away. And then you can have people that, okay, I'm 35, I started yesterday, I'm a junior developer. And I was like, whatever, let's do this. I mean, you can be even 50, I don't care. As long as you are energetic and passionate and you want to code and you want to ship stuff, who cares, right? So it's a complex topic, but I think there are a lot of things that we can do.
At this short time, I think it was a nice wrap up for this topic. Cool. That's it. So I'm out of my subject and topics. So how do people can get in touch with you if anyone is interested to follow you and read your stuff?
So you can go to Twitter or ivanmorgillo.com. It's probably my blog is there, or you can search Ivan Morgillo on Twitter. You can search Code with Italians on Twitter, and we are gonna show up with Smiley with a pizza t-shirt. That's it.
Cool.
Pretty straightforward.
Cool. And is there any subject or topic that I did not ask you and maybe you like to talk about at the end?
I think we went through everything.
That was incredible. I really enjoyed this talk, to be honest. And I know it took a while and it was long, but I enjoyed all of it. And thank you for accepting my invitation. And
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. And I do this monthly with Android community active members. So if you're interested, join and subscribe to this channel and follow this topic. I will also share some Android tips and tricks that you may like. So follow me. Cool. Then
like and subscribe.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.